guys, so I know you've been starting to picture walk through this book. So legs, wings, fins, and flippers. So I want you guys to all hold your book up. Do you guys know what kind of book this is?
Yes.
What kind of book is it?
Legs, wings, fins, and flippers.
So that's the name of the
this
book.
book for Miss Watson.
So is it fiction or non-fiction?
It's fiction.
Is it fiction?
No, because
It's
fiction,
non-fiction.
fiction is not true,
Not true.
and non-fiction is true.
Okay. Because fiction text is based on fact. And fiction text is based on imagination. Something that someone came up with. Where non-fiction text is based in fact. It's real. So you were very right. So today we're going to go a little bit deeper into what a non-fiction text is. And we're going to talk about the parts of a non-fiction text that can help you better understand it. Okay? So I want to start by organizing some of these books that I have printed out into fiction or non-fiction books. Hold on, so I'm going to ask you each to first pull out one non-fiction text and tell me why you think it's a non-fiction text. Okay. Gabriel, do you see a non-fiction text?
Yes. I
So,
got the cat that had by Dr. Seuss.
okay. I have a question. So
There's
remember,
no page.
it's just a page. So I have a question. So you think The Cat in the Hat is a non-fiction or a fiction text?
It's a fiction text.
A fiction text. So we're going to put all the fiction over here. Gabriel, can you put that one over here?
Yes.
So I want you to think about that.
There's one of Dr. Seuss. Yeah.
Legend, can you pull out a non-fiction text?
What are you reading?
A non-fiction text
What are you reading?
based in fact. So we have one on the human body. We have Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood, book on Martin Luther King Jr., and a book on caterpillars and butterflies. So which one of those is based in fact? Hold on.
Which one is non-fiction?
Which one is non-fiction? It's based in fact. It's real. It was not a story that someone made up.
Like someone made up?
So no, it's not a story that someone made up. Non-fiction. Fiction is a story that someone made up. So which one of these is a non-fiction? Not fake. Gabriel, can I have that back?
Yes, I like the cat that hat because I like that movie.
Oh, perfect. So this is a perfect example of a non-fiction text. Because Martin Luther King Jr.
King Jr.
I know. About that story.
I am Martin Luther King.
Can I have that book cover back? Thank you.
I know all about that story.
So, can you pull out Legend, can you now pull out a fiction text? Something that's not real. So that's on caterpillars and butterflies. Are caterpillars and butterflies real? Can you give me the definition of fiction and nonfiction again?
A non-fiction is not true, and fiction is something that made up.
So fiction is something that's made up, not true, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a nonfiction is true, something that's real.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want you to pull out a fiction book. Fiction. So this is a nonfiction because it's about the human body.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to put this over with Martin Luther King's book. Gabriel, can you pull out another nonfiction book? Perfect. Can you put that over there? We're leaving this one. This is fiction. So these two are also examples of fiction books because Walt Disney came up with the story Cinderella.
I like Cinderella. I like that one.
And Little Red Riding Hood, a story about a girl being chased after a wolf that can talk, is also a fiction story.
Animated movie.
It is an animated movie, so is The Cat in the Hat, and so is Little Red Riding
Yeah,
Hood.
I want the Cinderella reboot to.
You like that movie?
Yeah.
So now do you guys understand the difference between the two of them? So a nonfiction, meaning not fake, and a fiction, meaning fake story. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Gabriel, can you tell me what a nonfiction text is?
Illiterate Riding Hood is a nursery rhyme.
A nonfiction text, is it real or not real?
It's real.
Yes. And a fiction text is real or not real?
Not real.
Good job.
I got those correct.
So, today we're going to go through the parts of a nonfiction book using your book that you're reading currently. The first thing that I want to go over is the cover page. So we all know this. So in a nonfiction text, the cover page tells you what the entire book is going to be about. Unlike The Cat in the Hat, if you don't know who the Cat in the Hat is, you don't know what the story is going to be about. Is it going to be about a cat in the hat? Is that a name of a person? Who is this person? But in this book, Legs, Wings, Fins, and Flippers, we know exactly what the book is going to be about, right?
Right.
Okay. So, the next page I want you guys to go to is the table of contents. It's on page 3. Can you go there? The table of contents shows you the topics within the book. It's going to list off what's going to be talked about as the book goes on. So on this page, we see the table of contents on the top, and then it talks about each section and what page to find that section on. So introductions on page 4, on land is on page 5, in the air is on page 8, and so on and so forth. So if you go to the table of contents, you'll be able to find what you're looking for in the story, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So next I want to take us to page number 4. Can you open up to page number 4?
Yes.
So on page number 4, we see a whole bunch of pictures, right?
Right.
So in a nonfiction text, what does a picture help you do?
I don't know.
So a picture or illustration or graphic usually helps you give a visual representation of what you're learning, right?
Right.
So if we're in this case, we're talking about a dolphin swimming, so they have a picture of a dolphin swimming, so you know exactly what that looks like. So that helps you better understand it, right?
Right.
So, and under those pictures, there's usually something called do you guys know what those little boxes are called?
Yes.
What is it called, Gabriel?
It's called introduction.
Not quite, it's called a caption.
What is the caption?
So a caption is a brief little synopsis of what the picture is. So it tells you what the picture is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So in this picture, you see a picture of a dolphin, right? And then the caption says dolphin swimming. So it matches the picture. It tells you what the picture is in case it's not clear. Because I know if I looked at this, I'd be like, oh, ant. But then I realized if I look at the caption, it says 6 legs, so that's what they want you to pay attention
Is that
to.
an ant?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I'll get it.
I got it.
Oh, sorry.
So, the next thing I want to talk about is what those little underlined titles are. Can you find the underlined title? So, the underlined title is on land. So, these subtitles, which were talked about in the table of contents, tell you tells you yep, just me and you. We're having a one-on-one today.
Okay.
So, the little subtitle tells you what that specific section is going to be about, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about how they're all organized in the table of contents before, right? So, in the table of contents, we find the area that we're looking for, and then the subtitle, the on land, tells you what that part is going to be about, right? Okay. Now we're going to talk about special print. Can you go to page 6?
Alright.
So, there's a word that's bolded on page 6. Do you see the word? So it says leap. So we know that leap is going to be a word of importance on this page because it's bolded. It's different from all the other words, right?
Because we know it is something important.
Yes. So there's actually 3 ways in a text to tell if something's important. It could either be bold, italicized, or underlined. Those are the 3 distinct ways of telling that a word that the author really wants you to pay attention to that word, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Really good. So now I want to go to the glossary, which is all the way on page 16, all the way in the back. Do you know what a glossary does? Have you ever heard of that word?
Glossary. Oh yeah, there it is. Baby birds, page 9.
So, a glossary is a collection of definitions that you might not know in the book. So, for example, here, you might not know what the word chicks means, which means baby bird, and you can find that word on page 9. So it tells you what the word is that you might not know, the definition of the word, and where to find the word in the text. So, what is the glossary used for? Do you remember what I just said?
Definitions.
Definitions. And it helps you with words you might not know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So something that this book does not have, but a lot of nonfiction texts do have, is called an index. So an index is kind of like a table of contents, but it has everything that the book is going to be about in it. And anything that you would want to find would be in that index. So let's say I want to just find in the text caterpillars and butterflies. If I went back in the index and I wanted to find where in the book they talked about a chrysalis. Do you know what a chrysalis is? It's that little shell that the caterpillar goes into when they turn into a butterfly.
Yeah, it turns into a butterfly.
And if I wanted to find that, I could go back in the index, it's usually all the way in the back of the book, look up the word chrysalis, and find it earlier in the book to find all the information that I want on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think would be something that you would use in your reading to help you that is part of a nonfiction text that we just went over?
I would use,
What do you think is the most helpful for you?
bold words.
Bold words. Why do you think the bold words would be so helpful?
Because it would be like something important that you have to know.
Yes. So it's something that like the author really wants you to hold on to, right?
Yeah.
So these things also happen in nonfiction texts, but they're a little different in fiction from nonfiction, right?
Uh-huh.
So you wouldn't usually see an index in a fiction text, would you? Because there's nothing you would need to look up because it's a story. Okay. So I'm gonna give you something and I want you to see if you can find it in the book. I want to see if you remember the definitions. So, could you show me the table of contents in the book? Awesome. Do you remember what the table of contents does?
Finding the page.
Finding the page on the topics that you're looking into, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. What about a caption? Can you find an example of a caption in the book? Awesome. And what does the caption do?
Tell you what does it do?
Yeah, what does the caption do for you? What does it help you with?
Help you do what a animal does.
It tells you what the picture is, right? It helps you define what the picture is. Because I might look at this and I might be, that kind of looks like a chicken, a baby chicken, right? But here, when I look at this, it says this chick is too young to fly. So that's the actual meaning of what they want you to get from the picture. Does that make sense? Okay. But really good job finding that. Can you show me a subtitle that's in the book?
Subtitle.
I see one on that page.
Is it right here?
Right here.
Oh.
So, this is the main title that's on the cover page, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a subtitle is on the top of a page usually, and it tells you what the page is going to be on, right? Okay, so we know this page is going to be on in the water. Okay, perfect. And the last thing I want you to show me in the book is the glossary. And remember what we said the glossary did again?
It finds you the definition.
Very good. So, in this book, they actually lined up those. You remember those bolded words that we were talking about, that they were important? Remember the bolded words that we were talking about before?
Oh, yeah.
That they were important? So, it just so happens that those words are the same words that they put in the glossary in this book. Because they're so important, they really want you to make sure that you have those definitions, right? That's awesome. Okay, you did a great job with remembering that. I just want to do this one more time. I want to see if you can pull out the nonfiction and unfiction text for me.
Pull out the nonfiction.
Pull out all the nonfiction books for me one more time.
This is true. This is true.
Little Red Riding Hood. You want me to read you the titles? So it's Little Red Riding Hood, Cat in the Hat, My Human Body, Martin Luther King Jr., Walt Disney World Cinderella, and Caterpillars to Butterflies. So which one of these are nonfiction? So they're based in fact.
Little Red Riding Hood, because it's true, because that wolf does chase the Red Riding Hood.
Okay, so that's a fact in the story, but it's a nonfiction text because in real life, there's no wolf that's gonna talking to a little girl, right? This is a story, so it's based in fiction. Didn't really happen in real life, right? So this is an example of fiction. Can you pull out more of the fiction text? So remember what the fiction texts are. Good job. I think there's one more fiction text. So didn't happen in real life. So this book is called The Human Body. So is that in real life?
No.
No?
Yes.
Okay. So this is an example of a nonfiction text. The human body is a real thing. So this book is going to talk about real things that happen to the human body, right? So we have 3 options left. You want to organize them? So we have I Am Martin Luther King, Caterpillars to Butterflies, and Cinderella. Which one of these is a made-up story? Means someone came up with it. It didn't happen in real life. Well, Martin Luther King was a real person, so this story is going to be a nonfiction text. Caterpillars to Butterflies, is that a fiction or nonfiction text?
Fiction.
Fiction? Well, you just put it in the nonfiction section.
Oh.
No, you had it right, nonfiction. Because those are real life things, right?
Uh-huh.
And the last one, Cinderella, fiction or nonfiction?
Fiction.
Fiction. Because it's a story that someone made up. That cartoon movie isn't real, right? No. And what about our book that we're reading now? Fiction or nonfiction? We went over this before.
Oh, yeah. It's fiction because it's just no, it's nonfiction
Okay, yes. Why is it nonfiction?
because it's true.
Because it's true. It's talking about real facts. So I want you to think nonfiction facts, and I want you to think fiction story, made up, not fact. Okay? Can you tell me that again? Which one is based in fact? And nonfiction or fiction? Fiction means fake. Nonfiction means not fake. So fact. Okay?
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction is based in fact, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have all these books that are nonfiction, and they all are going to have those great parts that we talked about, and you were able to pull out and tell me what they did, right?
Mhm.
That's awesome. So what did you learn from this?
I learned that nonfiction is true and fiction is not true, because fiction is a story, and
That was exactly what you wanted to get. That's perfect. Okay. And I think that's all we wanted to talk about today. Do you have any questions?
Mm-mm.
Did you remember all the parts, you think?